heck is this? I mean specifically this. Are those supposed to be feet? They don't look like feet to me. Let's be honest for a second. While I love the original classic G1 Transformers, while I love the heft of them, while I love the intuitive design and the total transformation, and while many of you have shared with me in your comments over the previous videos that you think the current modern Transformers are missing something, that something's been lost over the years, wouldn't it have been nice if the original Transformers had evolved? If we'd seen some intuitive progression over the years and enhancement, as opposed to just watching it drop off? Wouldn't it be great if there was some make-believe, fictitious, lost series that existed between G1 in the late 1980s and the modern Transformers that began in 2000? Well, there is. You just weren't told about it. Let's talk about Takara Brave. Licensed by the same company that made Transformers in Japan, a lot of the same designers were on the same teams, making it, but it doesn't get talked about because it doesn't carry the Transformers name. A little backstory first. The original G1 Transformers are made up of various Japanese toy lines, primarily Takara Diaclone and Takara Microman Microchange. Those toys were made almost entirely in 1982. That was the year that the 1984-1985 toy line was originally designed and created. The reason why great toys weren't made by Takara right after that was because in 1983, there was a huge economic recession in Japan, which meant not only that Japan had to save money on the toys they were making, but they also had to make less expensive toys to pass on to their consumers. So we start seeing a new emphasis on plastics and smaller toys and less complex designs. And you know what? Some of them were hits. A couple of them worked out really, really well. But it lacked something that had been in that original line. Something was lost. Fast forward to the Transformers. In 1984 and 1985, they're utilizing all of these classic 1982 toy designs, and some of the 1983 ones as well. We get to 1986, and Transformers has a problem. You see, they're the biggest thing on the planet. Everybody wants them, everybody's collecting them, and they have run out of toy designs. They've gone back to the well and almost nothing is left. Ultra Magnus came from Diaclone. Metroplex was an unproduced Diaclone design, but otherwise they got very little to work with. So suddenly they have to start making new toys. Now, here's where my knowledge is fuzzy. I don't know if Takara had fired their original designers, if they still had them on staff or what, but one way or another, they have to sort of start over when they hadn't really been making any great toys in 4 years. And it shows. The 1986 Transformers are... I mean, let's talk about Cup. What the heck is Cup? Who decided this is a cool design for a toy? Honestly. So Transformers sales start winding down fast. 86, 87, they keep putting out new toys, and Battle Beasts ended up in there somehow. That was kind of cool. But we're seeing a decline. Slowly, though, you start seeing some progress. You start seeing the Transformers designers figuring out and making better things. 1988's Power Masters are kind of cool. They're not as good as the 1982 Diaclone original car robots, but they've got that heft again, and they're a little bit creative. And Power Master Optimus Prime in Japan was an even more complex toy. In Japan, he was God Ginrai, where he combined with another robot toy to become an even cooler robot. There were some lazy aspects of the design. The cab transformation is not impressive at all, but otherwise it was pretty cool, and it was the beginning of something special. You see the designers get even better the next year when you see, like, for example, Victory Saber in the Victory line that was never released in the United States. It's a good toy. A really, really good toy. And you see a lot of its design elements trickle in later on in the Brave series we're about to talk about. Not only do you have one toy combined with another toy to make an even cooler toy, we're not talking combiners, we're talking about something that already was an awesome robot, but gets even cooler with the add-on of a second one. Also, some of the actual design elements itself, I love the fact that it doesn't look like a brick. It actually, poses a little bit. And also the idea of combining Beast toys with vehicle toys was kind of a really cool idea. It didn't fit the robots in disguise idea. You're not going to see a giant space lion and go, oh, that's a harmless, normal, everyday thing. But it was cool and imaginative. Fast forward to 1990, and Transformers gets canceled in Japan. Toei Animation, their partner, loses interest after seeing really poor toy sales. They get one episode done, and they're finished. And Takara knows there's still a market for cool toys out there. And they have all these designers who are now getting really, really good at what they're doing. Do you just fire them all? And so as a result, they end up in a partnership with a company called Sunrise, and they create what's called the Brave Yuusha series. And essentially, it's Transformers Generation 1.5. It's Transformers a little more evolved, a little further along, but not having forgotten all the great lessons they learned along the way. Generally speaking, these series, instead of trying to throw 1 million toys at kids at one time and seeing what sticks, they're focusing on 3, maybe 4 really choice toys at one time each year, and that's working a lot better. The crazy part is, while not all the designers involved in Brave came from Takara and Transformers, most did. And you see a lot of influence carry over. So, for example, Brave X Kaiser is very clearly Rodimus Prime in different colors. You see a lot of that throughout the series. And the one I want to focus on today, well, scientists say that humans don't hear the word no very well. So when Takara tells you this is not a Transformer, and it's definitely not Optimus Prime, I guess we'll have to believe them. Let me show you Super Guardian from Brave Firebird. This is Super Guardian, released 1 year after Transformers was unexpectedly canceled by the same design team for the most part, same company, but you're not allowed to call him Optimus Prime. Don't call him Optimus Prime. For size scale, let's put Smokescreen right next to him so you can get an idea of how big he is. Now, I'm not going to pretend for a second this is my favorite toy from the Brave series. There are so many better ones I intend to get to in later videos, and for those of you who are already assuming that my favorite is Gal Guy Gar, nope, I'd argue there's a better one. But let me show you how this one works today, just because it is the missing link between Transformers and Brave. I would even argue this one doesn't have necessarily the level of heft and the level of intuitive design I'd be looking for. But it's a quality toy, and when compared to what Transformers was doing before this, it's light years ahead. So, let me walk you through the transformation. So here are our heroic Autobots. Oh, wait, sorry. Brave team. I don't know what to call them. I've never watched the anime. I have no idea. But you're going to see, these are very much, ooh, that feels like Ratchet. That feels very much like Inferno, or possibly even Optimus Prime, who in later shows and toys is often a fire truck. And that looks a lot like Prowl. Let's put them together and see what happens. Now, I'm going to be very honest with you guys. I don't think these transformations are amazing. Brave definitely gets better as it goes. This always sticks a little bit. But if you're comparing this to what Transformers were doing in 1986 to 1988, it's amazing. And I still maintain the finished product is so awesome that it's worth this being not perfect. That's our Prowl right there. Our Inferno guy might be the most disappointing of them all in terms of, well, you'll see. That's not that much. Those hands are not fantastic. And then Ratchet. Of course, we can't call him Ratchet. Don't call him Ratchet, folks. It's been a while since I did this one. He actually doesn't need to come apart like this yet. I just forgot how to do it. Probably should have practiced first. You know, when you're dealing with rare old toys, you should probably practice before you start transforming them on camera so you don't break something off. But then where's the danger and the excitement? Let's live on the edge a little bit. Totally unrehearsed, totally unfiltered. Transformers Beyond. Ratchet got buff. I mean, look at that. He's a big chunky dude now. And those are our, I'll bring Inferno in a bit. Those are our 3 robots right there. They're not bad. They're not necessarily better than 1982 originals, but it's their combined mode that's awesome. If you think about what combiners we had at this point, you have, the Constructicons, and you've got, Menasor and Bruticus, and all those ones that combine pretty much the same way. We got Predaking. He was awesome. I'm not going to say this is necessarily better than Predaking, but it's different. Let's show you what happens. So, the fire truck is pretty much the center of this whole thing, and he's the most complicated one to do. I mean, that's a really out there design. That mechanic, I don't think I've ever seen in a Transformer toy before or since. It's definitely different. It's a little weird. It's complex, I'll tell you that much. Oh, there goes Prowl. Bye, Prowl. This is going to become our set of legs, if you couldn't tell from before. Probably the least inspired part of this. Really, no creativity involved in that whatsoever. Whereas the fire truck was weirdly creative in how it became something. That's not too inspired at all. We'll connect these two together. And it's got the connections to do so right here. We'll tilt up a little bit so you can see that better. There we go. Looking good. So we got this so far. This is the part that always confuses me the most. I've done this a million times. It's still a little bit hard. Again, I'd say this one lacks some of the intuitiveness. It's a good design. It's a good transformation for the most part. It does feel like you're fighting it a lot of the time. But it's worth it. Once again, I keep saying that. I'm going to prove it to you. Let's get this giant head out here. And, phew, I'm doing this kind of wrong. Again, did not practice beforehand. Really should have. We'll get him right in there. We kind of, this is the part that doesn't really feel natural. There are grooves in there that he's supposed to connect to. He just doesn't always find them quite right. It's in there. It just, oh, I am not making this look smooth or cool at all, am I? At this point, you might realize this does not look like the robot you saw in the beginning, and that's because this is that thing that Brave does so well that we saw in Victory Leo, Victory Saber as well. God Ginrai did it before that. We have a second Transformer that's going to sort of join in and make him even cooler. And in this case, that's this little dude right here, who doesn't look like much of an airplane. He's clearly just extra parts waiting to happen. He can become his own robot toy, and we'll do that first, I suppose, although it's not... Yeah, know what? Let's skip it. It's not that cool, I promise you. Let's get right to the good stuff that you really want to see. He becomes an okay robot. It's not bad. That's not what we're really here for, is it? These feet, what it does here feels very much Victory Saber. Those adding on those extra big feet right there uses almost the exact same mechanics. Some other later Brave toys that are really cool do it as well. We're going to add on chest piece right here to make him look a little extra legit. Fancy. We'll give him his bigger Optimus Prime type head. Give him wings. I don't really know that he's going to be able to fly with this kind of heft going on, but at least he'll be stylish. Like those people who put spoilers on, like, junker cars. There. And then we give him a little crotch piece for his comfort. And a gun. And that's Super Guardian. Note, not Optimus Prime. A really, really impressive looking combiner from the lost generation of Takara Brave toys. This one was made in 1991. And man, if you want that in-between phase between hefty, really intuitive designs and a little bit more modern, a little bit more creative, this is a guy you're going to want on your shelf. And there it is. The missing link between G1 Transformers and more intuitive, more creative designs that came afterwards. I wish Transformers was making stuff like this today. I really do. It's a gorgeous toy. It's huge. It's inventive. It's fun. And Takara really only got better from here until we got to a point that they didn't, which I'll cover in a later video. Super Guardian himself, hard to track down complete. And if I could give you a piece of advice, if you're interested in exploring Brave And you really should explore Brave. There's so much out there. In your in your eBay searches, if you're doing it that way, I would definitely emphasize Takara Brave, because they have later versions that weren't as good in my opinion. I would also put DX in your search, because they had, much like a lot of Japanese toys, DX meant the deluxe larger version, and STD meant standard or the smaller, cheaper version as well. Also, don't forget to change your search so you're looking internationally and not just in the United States, because nobody has these lying around in their basements in the United States. Finally, my last piece of advice when hunting Takara Brave. It's a really fun experience because, on the one hand, not a lot of people know what these are, so you might find a great deal. But on the other hand, because they're so not well known, they're hard to find pieces for. So I strongly recommend paying a little extra to get a complete one. Don't go incomplete, because that missing accessory you need, you're never going to find for sale. There just aren't enough Takara Brave toys being sold in the United States or really anywhere. But definitely get hunting, get searching. If you love your classic Transformers, this is an era you can't miss. It's too much fun. And really, are you going to tell me this doesn't belong on your Transformers shelf just because it doesn't have the name Transformers on it? Beyond Transformers, this is what it's all about. All right. Check out our other YouTube channel. Don't forget to check out our other videos. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We appreciate that tremendously. And if you're in the mood to talk, ClassicComics.org is the place to check out. We're not just about comic books. Friendly geeks discussing friendly things, and we'd love to have you be a part of it. ClassicComics.org. Till next time.